My name is Joshua Owolabi. I'm 21 years old and currently I'm working in marketing since I was in youth, so for a long time. So I'll say probably early secondary school days.
Hi, my name is Julian, Powell. I'm 34, I'm married to Louise, got a son called Cuba, who is 2. I'm a part of the leadership team here at HDB and I've been here for 5 years. 5 years? 5 years?
No, more than that.
No, I've been here for 5 years, man.
Nah, bro, it's been more.
5 years I've been here.
You're Nigerian, innit?
Who are you from?
I'm from Nigeria. Where are you from?
I'm from, well, my parents were born and bred in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And so I have a Jamaican heritage, but also got a Cuban heritage.
Is it?
Yeah, Cuban heritage.
Okay.
But do you know what? To my confession, I've never been to Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
Have you been to Nigeria?
Yeah, I've been in Nigeria multiple times. I think the last time I went was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go again though, but yeah, I love when I go back home.
Tell me a fun fact about Nigeria.
The food, the weather, the culture, just what the upbringing there is different to here, and just seeing how people your age or your generation, the way they live life with the resources available to them over there. Yeah, just seeing how life is somewhere else. Sometimes we get a bit too fixed in our own bubble and we forget about the rest of the world and how it is there. So it's just nice seeing how other people do things somewhere else. Yeah.
That's nice, man. Jamaica is a lovely place, from what I've heard. What I've seen, I've experienced, is we break records in the athletics.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
We break records as well. Olympics, football, African Cup of Nations, World Cup. We're the only African team, to make it to the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Well, that's really good, man.
Yeah.
You had JJ Okocha.
Yeah, we had a good team. We had a good team back in the day.
Uncle Kanu.
Kanu.
I can't really say a lot about the Jamaican players.
No.
No. But we pray for them still.
Yeah. But no, they'll make it to the World Cup one day though. Would you ever go to Jamaica?
I would, you know. I would love to take my family there. But it's one of those things where I think when you go, I think I would love to see, like, not being selfish, I love to see the sights first, see the sights.
Yeah.
See the food, just see the historical places of it all. But I think then take the family, and then to see kind of extended family out there as well, man.
Yeah. No, yeah. I would love to go there one day as well. I've met people who are Nigerian or Ghanaian, West African, and they've got Jamaican heritage.
Yeah.
So see, I know there's a mix as well with that, and people I know who are West Africans have gone on holiday to Jamaica to kind of like trace that heritage of where they come from, or where the Jamaican side family lived in Jamaica, try to understand part of the identity. Yeah. So I would love to like go to Jamaica and just experience it as well.
Because there's a connection, you know. I think one thing that I've experienced from, you know, it's not monolithic, but Nigerian culture and Jamaican culture is the importance of like community. Yeah. Community that comes together. I remember, I don't know about you, but I was raised with that kind of, that saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And so like the kind of conversation of like having many aunties and uncles are more than just the ones that we know, but it could be kind of like a village thing. Yeah. What does community mean to you?
Community is a big thing to me. Community is part of identity. Your people, the people that you call your people, just it's part of your everyday life, you know, what helps you to shape who you are, how you live your life, you know, what you get up to. I know for me, like, my generation, we call it the cookout. You know, like, everyone comes together, it could be African, Caribbean, and you go to one auntie's house, normally the one who has a garden, and, you know, the aunties are just cooking food the whole day, there's music playing, and we're just sharing just food of different culture and music, and everyone's just having a good time. Yeah. And that's really how I've really connected with a lot of like my Caribbean friends, really just having that similarities in culture. You know, and it's kind of like what you said, like your auntie isn't always just the person by blood. It could be the person who's raised you and played that role as well. Same with your uncles as well. And that's, you know, the experiences I've had with people as well. So yeah. And
it's that thing of sign of respect, right? When you've gone on, you know, the streets and you welcome people, and I have friends who come alongside me and said, Julian, is that your auntie? Is that your uncle? Said, nah, it's just a sign of respect that you have. And it's amazing that it's something that I want to bring also to my culture where I live in London, where if I have an auntie, you may not look like me, from a different race. Say to her, you know, you're my auntie, my uncle, you're part of my family, you're part of my culture. And so how have you found, you know, where you live in East London?
Yeah, East London.
Yeah. How have you found, like, in terms of like bringing your culture to where in East London?
I think one thing that I like about the part of East London I live in is that it is very diverse culture. So you've got black, whites, you've got Turkish people of different backgrounds. And, you know, like, there are people who may not be the same color as me, but when I see them, I'm like, oh, hello, auntie, how are you? And they treat me like as if like I'm their own son. So it's like everyone knows what the culture is around there. And, you know, they've become used to that. So when they see someone calling them auntie or uncle, they understand where that's coming from, you know, a place of respect. And I think that's one thing I've liked about growing up, where I've grown up. But yeah, what about you?
I think for me, growing up where I was from originally South London, and still live in South London, but live in a different area now from where I was raised. The one thing that kind of stands out to me is the kind of different shops that represent like different countries from all over the world, the diversity of shops. Also as well, like when you walk down a road, you'll never see like a same shop that's the same. And for me, it kind of brings life to everyone's adding a bit of their culture to a part of our road of where we come from. And I think people love to mix. I think it's like you said, I think community is that diversity of people. I do love kind of like going down the shop, or you'll hear different types of music as well. You'll have like a different person on the street entertaining you. And I just love that. I think, you know, going on the bus or the tube, you just see like different families, different languages. That's incredible, man. And I think it just reminds me, like, I even like to ask that question, like, if Jesus was here right now, like, he was the embodiment of like being in the midst of culture. How he mixed with the Jews, the Gentiles, he was just with people. In general. And I think one thing that kind of I'm proud of that mixes my faith also with my upbringing and where I come from as a black person is the importance of community. Not doing life by yourself. And it's not kind of like a conversation where it's like only people who look like me are invited to my community. No. It's like
open to everyone.
It's everybody. Do you know what I mean? Even if you come with your like your jollof rice, you know what I mean? I come with my rice and peas, or if you come with your, you know what I mean, your veggie rolls. I mean, everyone's welcome. Do you know what I mean? Because they bring something of themselves into this community, man. Do you know what I mean?
100%, I agree. I think that's the way it should be, really. And like you said, that's just how Jesus was. He chilled with everyone. No matter who you were, what you looked like, everybody was one. And obviously for us here on earth, it's about embodying that while we're here, you know, and remembering that as well, that we're all one, no matter what colour or what culture we come from. But yeah.
I think for me, how it shaped me being a child of God, but also a black man, is actually that I was shaped in his image, which was beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny how sometimes we look at the brutalness of the cross, but then we don't celebrate the beauty of the cross also as well, in terms of the person who went on the cross, which is Jesus Christ. And with brokenness and beautifulness, often sometimes within society we only talk about the brokenness of our race, and I talk about myself, and sometimes we speak about the brokenness of our society or where we came from. Sometimes in like history we always hear like the bad and the negative stuff. But there's a guy called a Jamaican artist called Chronix, and he said a song called "Nobody Told Me That Black Is Beautiful." And it's amazing where actually that is the truth, because actually we're all made in the image of God, which is beautiful. And I have to tell myself, and I have to tell my son, you're beautiful. When you look in the mirror, son, you're beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. Everything about you is beautiful. But not just that, you celebrate others as well in their beauty, because we're all created from God the Father. And so I tell myself, not just the physical appearance, but the inside as well, the qualities that you have as a person, is that we're all created in the image of Jesus, man. What about you?
No, I agree with everything you said. I think I like the way you touched on sometimes we focus first on the negative and we forget the positive. And I think there's multiple things that play into that. Sometimes was pushed out to us by the media and the way society is. They rather push out the negative first, and it plays and causes problems. But I think it's then also trying to like challenge ourselves to always try, let's start thinking about the positive and let's try and remove that negative. But for me, in terms of like as a black person in church, when I started going to church, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. So around me was just a lot of people that looked like me. And obviously Pentecostal church is different to Church of England, you know. The music is louder, pastor likes to do overtime preaching, all of that type of stuff. And I think one time I really questioned like my identity, I think it was when I moved to HTB, when I was in youth, because majority of people in youth weren't looking like me. And that's the first time I ever felt like, not first time I ever felt, but in a church setting, I kind of felt like the odd one out. Yeah. And that's where it really made me feel like, whoa, like imagine like all the other people who don't look like me who will come to my Pentecostal church, how they would have felt just seeing, you know, feeling like the odd one out as well. And that's kind of felt, that's when the first time I felt I was in somebody else's shoes, you know, and it took me a long time to really like settle and find myself. Because, you know, when you're somewhere new, you're like, oh, how do I fit in? Blah, 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 you know, who's gonna talk to me? Do I really belong here? I don't relate to a lot of people in terms of personal life. And yeah, just a lot of people my age that I was growing up with, just different life, you know. Certain conversations I couldn't really have with them that I could have with other people, you know. So I think that's the first time I've really questioned my identity when it comes to church. But in a way, I'm kind of happy I went through that experience, because it makes you see stuff differently. Yeah. And it just widens things up into your perspective, you know. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes we just have to go through those sticky situations where we're feeling like we're not in a place where we feel uncomfortable. But it's then how do we then find that uncomfortability, because things can always change. And till today, I'm still here, and I'll say like, you know, I found home.
It brings better awareness, right, to who's around you and who we can connect with also as well. Yeah. Because I also asked the question, like, what does it mean to be like a black man in a space where you are the minority? Yeah. And I also feel like, how does that also base like our foundation in our Christian walk? Yeah. And so I find it quite encouraging seeing you here as a young black man in church, because the narrative could be put sometimes that there aren't a lot of black men in church. Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like that you're setting a precedent, that you're here, bro. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here on Sundays. What does that mean for you and your faith in regards to friends that might not be in church?
Yeah, it's a big thing, because for me, growing up, because I've even thought about myself in terms of friends and people I've grown up with. So it's funny, like, everyone grew up together, went to church on a Sunday, everyone went to the same primary school, so we see each other on a weekly basis. And then as everyone got older, especially reaching that secondary school stage, some people started drifting off. You know, some people got involved in lifestyles that just took them away from God, you know, and never returned to church. Some people still stayed, then eventually drift off and just naturally just stopped coming to church. And then I think for me, I just look around like, oh, I'm like one of the few only left, like that's still going to church from when we all started all going to church on Sundays together, like back in primary school days, you know. And I think that's just, for me, I wouldn't even say it's a testament to me, but more of a testament to God in terms of helping me to continue to stay strong in my faith and to continue to come to church, especially as a young person, because I see loads of young people falling off left, right, center. Yeah. So for me, I think it's also the foundation of home as well. Come where the way you've been raised to look at church, and your parents explain the importance of church to you in terms of your life, not just. I think with one of what I've noticed with like my friends is, for them growing up, church has been brought to them as a chore. Yeah. Not like part of your lifestyle in terms of this is why we go to church, but it's being put to them as a chore, and it's drawn people away, young people away from going to church. And I think that's where one of the issues is. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I just give thanks to God every day that I'm still grounded in my faith, and hopefully one day I could see people coming back, the younger generation, because it's easy to fall off, but it's not easy to bounce back. That's another thing we have to remember as well.
Jeez. Bro, representation. What are you thinking? Within your sphere, like for example, like we both love football, innit? You support Arsenal. Yeah. I support Manchester United. Yeah. But the thing that I would love to see more, like, is representation of leadership in higher positions, like black leaders. Yeah. Like the only black coach that we could say that's in football is Patrick Vieira. Yeah. And within my context, you know, church as a church leader, I think we're getting much better when it comes to that. representation. You've got a lot of leaders that are coming through who are from, you know, UKME backgrounds, well, predominantly like black backgrounds. There's a lot of leaders being raised, women and men, which is incredible. But it's just now kind of like getting to that tier of kind of like senior leadership within the church. But in God's timing, in it, we don't rush things. I think for me personally, you know, it's been with the people in it. It's the most important thing. That's what we've been called to do. So what about your sphere of influence?
I'll say church as well, just seeing more people of colour, different backgrounds. I would agree that, you know, we're starting to see that, you know, people are becoming more pushed up. But yeah, I think it'll be amazing to see how that journey goes in terms of like you said, senior leadership. We're going to see that as well. But like you said, in God's timing, 100% it will happen. But yeah, what else I think? Like when I did my year away, like I remember there was a time I realized like, oh wow, there's not really much people of color like in the staff team. But even in the congregation as well. So for me, like, because I feel like in London you see the representation. But maybe with the outside London churches pushing that a bit more. Because the church I was in, there was only one black couple. You know, and I was like, oh wow, compared to my time here when I've seen you know, different couples of different races. So it was a bit different for me. So seeing that representation being pushed more to the congregation, I was saying that outside London churches as well. So
it's important, isn't it? It's important to have representation, but it's good to see now that what I'm transitioning into and seeing like HTB as a church is we're seeing more leaders being raised actually from London. Which is great. Because whether you're from east, west, north, whatever part of London, like I feel like leaders are kind of coming together, and I feel like that's key as well. From all different kind of, you know, walks of life as well. It's key, man.
I like that though, the whole seeing people from London, because I think I've been so used to seeing people from outside London.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Which there's nothing wrong with, but sometimes when you meet someone who's
from
a
London.
new worker in the church and they're like, I'm from North London. You're like, oh wow, you're from North.
North Wheezy, baby.
North Wheezy. You went to school. Okay, I know someone that went to school here. So it's like, you can relate to certain stuff. So I like that as well, seeing that London representation.
Morley's for me, bro. What about you? What was your place?
Chicken Express was the one growing up.
I love it.
But Chicken Express.